to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are checking out Ebro in the Morning with the beautiful Laura Stiles and Rosenberg, and you may have heard of this woman. We've been trying to have her on for some time. As soon as I heard about her, I wanted to book her so we could have a conversation about her recent discoveries, who she is, how amazing she is. Her name is Dr. Hadiyah-Nicole Green. Dr. Green, how are you today?
I'm well. I I thought we were. Yes, I'm well. Thank you. How are you today? I thought we were chatting offline for a minute.
We were, but I wanted to bring our fun banter online. So I just put a little intro on it. So just keep being whatever. Just be yourself. Listen, I've seen you in several interviews. You're happy. You laugh a lot. You're an amazing person. So just keep doing it. That's the same person you were before the camera came on. Just keep doing that.
Okay, absolutely. I came to enjoy myself today. I'm so excited about being here. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you. Well, how's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. Laura Rosenberg?
We are good.
Hanging in there.
No, we're good. I'm good.
We're good.
Surviving is an accomplishment every day.
Facts.
True. How are you? Give us, before we get into your accomplishments and things that you've discovered and are trying to bring to the forefront of medicine. We are dealing with a pandemic right now. Being a doctor who deals with saving lives. What would you like to tell the audience out there, especially our black and brown people who are living in communities and families the most affected by this coronavirus? I'm sure you've seen many falsehoods, and I'm sure you've seen the truth. What would you like to impart upon the people tuned in right now?
So I've actually spoken out about the coronavirus before the CDC and expressed the importance of wearing masks, the importance of protecting yourselves. And one of the things that I find even in my own family is that we aren't taking this seriously because we can't see it, we can't hear it, we can't taste it, we can't feel it. And a lot of people say, oh, because I'm taking vitamin C, I have enough immunity, so I won't get the coronavirus. And these things are simply just not true. We have to take every possible precaution. And it's not only because 4 out of 5 people who have the coronavirus don't have symptoms. It's being a carrier and possibly killing people that you love, because Black and brown people are more susceptible to the disease, not simply because of our color, but because of the pre-existing conditions. If you have anything from asthma, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, any cholesterol, if you take prescription medicine for anything, you are high risk. Most people take prescription medicine for something, and they don't translate that into them being high risk, because initially we were told Black people can't get it. It's only for people who are 60 years old or older. And that's not true. There are young people and children who have died from coronavirus. So the wearing your mask is to protect you from everyone else. The N95 masks have not still been made widely available after the factories were taken over and manufacturing was supposed to become a federal project. The distribution of the high quality N95 masks to make sure that you're not breathing in coronavirus is still not widely available. So my big concern is you're wearing the mask to protect other people. If everyone has on a mask, it's like 99% effective. But if one person in a room doesn't have on the mask and they have coronavirus and they cough or sneeze or do anything, they literally can contaminate the whole room if nobody else has on an N95 mask. But even a face scarf, a non-official mask that's handmade, or the cloth mask, if everyone has it on, then it's most effective, more effective than almost everything else that we can do.
Now, I think there's also a discrepancy, and I think it's hard for people to understand, that doctors are learning as we go, and society is learning as we go. And that is something that I believe most people in our lifetimes have never experienced. The fact that doctors have been wrong, or politicians have been wrong, or doctors have to pivot and have found out new information, so things may have changed, or et cetera, et cetera. So you have all of these conspiracy theories around, well, you said 6 weeks ago this, and now you're saying that. And it's like they said in the beginning, they don't know what this is, which is why everybody is so concerned.
Exactly.
They don't know how to deal with it, and they don't know how to stop it. And the only thing that they know can slow it down, not cure it and not stop it, but slow it down, is wearing a mask. Do you think that's also contributing to a lot of the, I guess, for lack of a better term, stupidity?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the problem, professionals are not trained to say, I don't know. And early on during this process, I started speaking out and saying, we need to acknowledge that we don't know. This is not the new flu. This is not the new pneumonia. It's an unknown unknown. And we don't know how contagious it is. We don't know how fast it will mutate. And one of my things that I've been saying, but it's very important, I want to reiterate, the vaccine theory isn't even effective for the flu shot every year. And this virus can mutate because it is a virus. That's what viruses do. They mutate. So this thought that a vaccine is going to come and save us all is erroneous. And we need to develop cures and treatments for this that are effective and life-saving. The promotion of vaccines, I personally don't trust and I don't like it. Not that I'm an anti-vaxxer. It's the science isn't legitimate enough to declare that the vaccine will be able to keep up with the mutations of a virus. And the best example that I can give for that is the science behind the flu vaccine every year. It's not keeping up with the flu vaccine that we've known and grown to embrace. We're familiar with the flu vaccine and we can't create we're familiar with the flu, and we can't create vaccines that keep up with the mutations of that virus. But you're trying to tell me that this unknown virus that the world has never seen before, that we're going to create a vaccine so universal that everybody will be able to take this vaccine and it won't mutate before we get this vaccine developed? No, it's not logical.
Is most of your concern there not only the reality that people take a flu shot every year and it doesn't completely eradicate the flu, but also that often these vaccines are rolled out by pharmaceutical companies that are it's just marketing and they know they're going to make a lot of money off of it?
So as a point of my own personal safety, I don't say anything negative about the pharmaceutical industry.
Right away. Yep. That's a good thought. And Doctor, how about this? I read an article the other day in the Atlantic about this vaccine stuff and some of the things that you're saying. It also said that basically when a vaccine does happen, think of it being much more like the flu vaccine, not the polio vaccine. In other words, polio was eradicated because of the vaccine. That's not what we're going to get here.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Yeah, I think I think it'll be like the flu vaccine, largely ineffective. But for people who are most vulnerable, it could have
necessary
benefit. Yeah, It could have some benefit. Yes.
Doctor, what are your thoughts on the whole hydrochloroquine conversation?
So that's a good question. I actually have a colleague here in Atlanta who has used a combination of a cocktail, and he's gotten positive results. And I've been pushing him to publish those results so that his combination can be used on a larger scale. But because that's not my area of expertise, I've seen it where it has been effective. But I think with anything, it matters how you use it, the dose, what stage you are in your disease, and how strong your immune system is to start with. So
I saw Dr. Fauci
it's not a
talking about
one-size-fits-all thing.
I saw Dr. Fauci talking about hydrochloroquine just the other day and saying that it hadn't been tested in a random enough sample, and it hadn't really been given the right parameters for them to say that hydrochloroquine is the way to go. Plus, it's also, as you pointed out, been given with other medicine, zinc and other things that,
Right.
can help depending on the patient. But there's a lot of
Exactly.
variables there. So as responsible people who are involved in this thing, you can't say that this is the way to go because it's not for everyone.
Exactly. And that's the same, like, for example, with chemotherapy, radiation, and other natural and holistic treatments for cancer. There isn't one approach for everyone. And there has to be a lot of study done to declare that something is effective for one specific disease. That's why clinical trials are important. And you guys have heard people talking about clinical trials. And for people who don't understand, that is the official human experiment to determine if something is safe and effective for use widely. And that process costs money, and usually the pharmaceutical industry finances it from the money they make on the profits from previous drugs. And so I'm actually in the process of fundraising for the therapy I developed, and we can get into that when you're ready.
Well,
but
no,
the clinical
I wanted to bring that up because I wanted to, you are, for everyone watching, we went down the path of COVID-19 and getting some understanding from Dr. Hadiyah-Nicole Green. She's an American medical physicist known for her development of a process that has the potential to help the evolution of a novel cancer treatment. Novel, the word novel is often thrown around. People don't know that. That means new in the medical world, right? Basically,
Yes.
right? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And using laser-activated nanoparticles. And just so you know her backstory, she's one of 66 black women to earn a PhD in physics in the United States between 1973 and 2012. She's only the second black woman and the fourth black person ever to earn a doctoral degree in physics from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And so this nanoparticle treatment for cancer, you've been talking about this. I would say I started following you on Instagram. Might have been a year ago when this started to roll out.
Yes. So let me tell you, this has been a long time coming. It's new to the public, but I've been in the background working on this for more than 10 years. And in 2016, I started the Ora Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation that I named after my aunt who lost her battle to cancer and inspired my journey to develop a better way to treat cancer. And if I can just pause for a moment, and can I tell that backstory?
Of course.
Please
Okay.
do.
So a lot of people see, oh, you're this physicist, but there's the whole backstory of how I got here. I'm the first in my family to go to college. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I went to Alabama A&M University, so I want to shout out to the HBCUs. And I majored in physics because of a lady who was working on her PhD in physics at the time named Aisha Fields. And Aisha pulled me out to the side when I was coming out of a calculus class my freshman year and said, if you're good at calculus, then you can do physics. And I thought she was crazy. I'm like, everybody knows physics is hard. So she convinced me that just because it may be hard for other people doesn't mean that it's hard, that it will be hard for me. So I ended up interning at NASA, interning at University of Rochester Institute of Optics, and working in the optics lab, following in Aisha's footsteps with the plans to revolutionize the way we receive cable and internet. Then the day after I graduated from Alabama A&M University with a 4.0 in physics, and after serving as Miss Alabama A&M University Queen for a year.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Nice.
So the day after graduation, like, my whole world changed forever. My aunt, who raised me from age 4, who was the only mom I knew, she announced that she had what she referred to as woman's cancer and said that she would rather die than experience the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation.
Wait, and she called it woman's cancer? Is that ovarian?
Either ovarian or cervical. But she was born in 1932, and she didn't discuss those type of things. Right. Yes. This the old school type of woman. So I was her primary caregiver the last 3 months of her life. And I watched her go from this vibrant, church going, matriarch of our family, the cooker of Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner. She was the glue that held our family together. She went from being vibrant to someone who couldn't walk, who couldn't talk, and couldn't take care of herself. And it was devastating to watch her deteriorate and for cancer to literally eat her from the inside out. And 3 months after she passed, my uncle, who raised me, was diagnosed with cancer. He opted in for chemo and radiation. I was his primary caregiver, and I watched him lose 150 pounds, all of his hair, his eyebrows, his eyelash cute. This rocked my whole world. And I had this background in lasers and optics and physics, and I interned at NASA. And I'm saying, if satellites in outer space can tell whether a dime on the ground is face up or face down, and a cell phone can literally call anywhere on the planet, even in a stadium full of people, and target one cell phone, why can't we treat and target cancer at the site of the tumor? I didn't understand why your hair had to fall out if you had woman's cancer. That didn't make sense to me as a physicist. It's like, why don't you treat the cancer where it is? So my whole perspective coming in with this background in lasers, optics, and physics was completely different from the biologists and the chemists who developed chemotherapy. So I set out on this mission to completely change the way cancer is treated and develop an affordable cancer treatment specifically for people who get diagnosed, and there's literally nothing they can do. So the technology I developed uses this background I have, and these particles that I make are called nanoparticles. And that nano is just the unit of measurement that's really, really small. If you can imagine a penny, the back of a penny is Abraham Lincoln. Imagine his eyelash. Now imagine something 1,000,000 times smaller than that eyelash. That gets you to the nanoscale. So these nanoparticles that I make are harmless. They don't kill anything by themselves. And I'm using a laser that's basically low power, like a laser pointer. And by itself, the laser is completely harmless. And you can shine it on the skin. It doesn't kill anything. It doesn't do anything. Only when you shine the laser on the nanoparticles will they heat up hot enough to kill the cells that they're touching. So the technology that I developed, we inject these nanoparticles into the tumor and shine the laser on it. And after one 10-minute treatment, over the course of 15 days, we just monitor and observe, and you can literally see the tumor regress and tumor shrinkage. So after 15 days, the tumor is completely gone. So in addition to my PhD in physics and my 3 degrees in physics, I spent 5 years training at the Comprehensive Cancer Center and a year in the Department of Pathology at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And the pathologists that I trained with confirmed that there is no viable cancer left under the scar after this treatment. So I started the Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, because I believe that we can have affordable healthcare, and it starts at this level. It's expected for scientists to sell their technology or bring in a savvy business person who goes out and gets investors, with the end game being to sell to the pharmaceutical industry. And because I'm the first in my family to go to college, and I come from very humble means, it was important to me that even my own family and people from my neighborhood could afford the technology that I developed. So I decided that it's not for sale. And I'm inspired by Susan G. Komen's and American Cancer Societies. And combined, they raise over $1 billion a year in cancer donations on the hope of finding a cure one day. And so I already developed this technology. I've shown that it works in mice to completely eliminate cancer. And now we're raising money to begin human trials.
And so the Aura Lee Foundation, people can make straight donations to that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so you can go to our website, auralee.org. That's ORALEE.org. lee.org. And my request is for people who have lost a loved one to cancer, who knew someone who survived cancer, who had a coworker, a friend, a loved one, to make a donation and become a recurring donor to help us reach our goals. And a lot of people see $10 million is what we need to start human trials. And I'm asking, just do $10 a month or do $100 or whatever you can. But millions of people hear about what I'm doing and they tell me that they're proud of me. They tell me that they're praying for me, and they tell me that they want me to be careful and be safe. But I need people to stand with me and to actually donate so that we can stay independent of the pharmaceutical industry and be the cancer charity of choice. I want us not to just be the new Black Susan G. Komen, because our technology isn't just for breast cancer or just for prostate cancer. I designed it as a platform therapy for solid tumors, including brain, skin, colorectal, anal, cervical, and of course, breast and prostate, but head and neck and lung cancers. So it's a platform therapy. And I try to give people the perspective that as a physicist, I'm inspired by the physicists who brought us the X-ray machine that we use at the hospital, the MRI machine that we use at the hospital, the CAT scan that we use at the hospital. So that's my academic background. I'm bringing in new technology that we need to offer in the hospitals. And the money that we're raising, I don't take a salary from it. We actually have an all volunteer team that runs our foundation. And all the money goes towards the translation of the technology so that we can begin human trials. Because I personally don't like how much overhead is used for salaries and marketing and promotion with other nonprofits, but with how we bring this technology forth into human trials.
Wow, that is a lot. I feel smarter just talking to you, but I'm also trying to keep up. Which also makes me feel like my brain just got fried. So Dr. Hadiyah-Nicole Green, no, seriously. It's a lot because, well, and also, too, because I think as individuals, when you start talking about cancer and doctors and you start talking and you start thinking about, wait, I'm talking to someone who just came up with a new solution. Why does she have to go through all of this to try to come up with an opportunity to try this solution to save a life? You would think that people in medicine and doctors would be like, listen, yo, you got something that's working? I mean, you know, in my industry, that's what people do. They'd be like, oh, yo, that's what you're doing on your show that's working for you? We're going to rock that too.
So let me tell you. So every surgeon, oncologist, and doctor who's seen my technology has agreed to host the clinical trials. They just don't have the funding to pay for it.
Oh, so there is love.
There's a lot of love. Yes, there's a lot of love. So all the types of cancers that I just named, I have clinical partners who are ready to start human trials in those specific cancers because that's their specialty and they love the technology. And they've all said this could be beneficial to their patients now, but they don't have the funding to cover those trials.
And with all of the media that you've done,
the funding have.
With all the media that I've seen you do, nobody's come to you with like, yo, here goes 10 million.
No, the people who have approached me, who probably had the resources, wanted me to change my business model so it can be a for-profit. And when I asked them questions like, are you committed to making sure this technology is affordable? They've all said, I could be a philanthropist with my cut of the proceeds and the profits, but they're about making money. And right. For me, this is important to the world. I've seen the cancer centers in Africa where they don't have the money if I sell out. I've been to developing countries in the Caribbean where they won't have the money if I sell out. And right now, if I can continue on my current course, this technology can be affordable to people around the planet who need an effective cancer treatment. So
it's just mind-blowing because you see the Susan B. Cohens and you see the millions of dollars that get raised for cancer research. And to hear somebody like you talk about for profit, it's heartbreaking. Because you would think that people really, really want the cure.
Right. So let me just say, not to name any specific organizations, but if you look at how they spend money, they spend less than 10% on actual research and development of a technology or cures. There's, in some of these organizations, in their tax returns, they spend upwards of $30 million a year on marketing. And the overhead for the salaries, that's where people's donations are going to with a lot of these larger nonprofits, not to throw shade, but just to educate people. When you're giving because of a marketing campaign and you don't see the scientists, you don't see where the money's going, and you don't trace it, it's a lot of times going into these processes and the organizational infrastructure and to cover all the salaries and all the staff and the employees. And they do very important work to raise awareness and to give hope. And they support cancer patients and provide educational resources and sometimes financial relief for cancer patients who are in financial distress because of the cost of their treatments. This is completely different. So it's one of those things. I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. It's like, don't believe the hype. But part of it, where people should have doubt and skepticism and do research with these established institutions, they don't. So a lot of times I get met with a lot of skepticism, like, no, you didn't do that. Oh, you're too young. I've had older white men tell me that if I were a white man and I had done this, I would have more funding than I would know what to do with. Mm-hmm. And it's disheartening, but I try not to let that discourage me, because there is a whole thing that we don't talk about, which is how Black scientists don't get the funding that we deserve based on our academic merit and the work that we contribute. I had a conversation with Lonnie Johnson, who invented the super soaker. Yep. And he told me, it was so heartbreaking, how many times he got rejected for funding when he developed the super soaker. And then when somebody picked it up, they stole the technology from him and he had to sue them and was in court for years before he got justice from the toy company that produced the super soaker. And wow. I've done extensive research and talking with other inventors and scientists about how to make sure that if I'm going to get cut out of financially benefiting from it, then we're all going to have access to it. If it's not about how I'm going to benefit as the developer and the inventor, if I go down the path and the businessmen and the investors will all get rich. And I was like, and these cancer nonprofits are raising over $1 billion a year with no cures to show for it, no technologies that eradicate cancer to show for it. Like, why can't I start a nonprofit, keep the technology affordable, and ensure the people will have access to it at the end of the day? So we've been making progress with our crowdfunding. We've raised more than $1 million, which is historic by itself. There have only been 32 African-American women who have ever raised $1 million or more for a company. So when we're looking at what's happening with me, we have to look at the landscape of what happens with Black women in business. We can't compare it to what happens with white men in business, or even what happens in business globally, because there is a disparity. There's a disparity in funding Black scientists. There's a disparity in funding Black entrepreneurs. And there's a disparity in how Black people are included in clinical trials and medical research. So we're dealing, and part of it, when we talk about Black Lives Matter and bringing up racial injustices and disparities everywhere from NASCAR to military bases and Confederate statues, we have to address disparities in healthcare, medical research, and the funding of Black scientists and inventors. And I don't pull a victim card. I just want to educate that it's not some conspiracy. We've been soliciting support from Black Greek letter organizations. And they said, oh, you aren't established enough. And because the larger organizations are established, they want to continue to support them, even though none of that benefits the African American community that the fraternities and sororities serve. Now, I do want to acknowledge that two fraternities, the Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, have both agreed to come on board as national partners.
That's amazing. So I'm very Congratulations.
Excited. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm very excited about that. I think that it's important to acknowledge the people who are adopting early, but a lot of people want to wait to see what's going to happen. And they want to wait to see somebody else come on board first before they come on board. But what happens, people say, oh, go ask Oprah or go ask Tyler Perry. It's extremely difficult to get an audience with people like that.
That's right.
Meanwhile,
I was actually sitting here just thinking like, yo, Oprah ain't reached out to you yet? Tyler Perry hasn't reached. You're right. You're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm in Atlanta. And I've sent messages, but I don't even know that they ever received them. Because unless somebody can make a personal introduction and call them on the phone and say, hey, you need to support this. Have you heard about this young Black woman who's eradicating cancer in mice, and she's trying to start human trials, and she's raising money and wants to keep it affordable and accessible for all? Like, having a warm introduction would make a huge difference. But meanwhile, millions of people are waiting for Oprah and Tyler Perry, or waiting for some millionaires or billionaires to support this. When I first went on Roland Martin in 2016, and that interview has had 14 million views on his Facebook page. Literally, if everyone who saw that had given $1, we could have started human trials already.
Had it.
Yeah, it doesn't take 1 or 2 millionaires or billionaires. It literally could be the everyday people who are hearing this signing up to do $10 a month or doing $100. And literally the math on that is that's 100,000 people. Literally 100,000 people can make history by making this happen and becoming a donor at $100 or $10 a month. It
doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot, but I will say, and I'm glad to have had the opportunity with you today. You know, the trust in going to new things, as you can see. Yeah. Even with how we started this conversation around COVID-19 and people living a new lifestyle, and just the reluctancy of trust and the reluctancy of, people are accustomed to, in our society, to sorting to institutions that are already established, whether they have shown proof or not.
Right.
It's social programming a lot of times.
It is. And I encourage people, research me. My LinkedIn is public, my resume, my bio, everything's on auralead.org. Follow us on social media at Dr. Hadiyah Green. That's DrHadiyyah, Green like the color. And follow us, the foundation, at auralead.org. And our website has information. You can Google me. I have an official Wikipedia page now. They just put my picture up. I was really excited about that.
Yo, Dr. Hadiyah Green, you're amazing, because you are so just genuine and really trying to do great work. And, I've like I said, I've been following you for the last year. I watch the media you do. I've watched the Instagram. I'm not too knowledgeable about, anything with regard to nanoparticles, but what you're saying makes a lot of sense. And I will tell you this, and I think we all can agree, and everybody listening, we all know somebody who has had to fight or has been, not won the battle with cancer. And there's so many different ways to go about doing it. And hearing that there's an option like yours that specifically targets and eradicates cancer, and you want to start trying it out, where people are really trying their best to survive this cancer thing, is just great. And I'm proud to meet you and proud of you, and I'm definitely going to be donating. No problem.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to put you on the radar of some friends out here, see if they heard of you. Maybe they can chip in and help out.
I would greatly appreciate that. And I tell you, I've had 2 small business owners donate over the course of a few years. The highest donation has been $30,000 over a few years of them actually donating as small business owners. But I always like to acknowledge there's this one lady that donates $2.25 a pay period. And because of donations like that is why I don't take a salary from donations. When I do speaking engagements, I get honorariums and I plan on making money from the movie and the book deal one day. But for donations, when I know people are making sacrificial gifts like that, I have a day job. I'm faculty at Morehouse School of Medicine and funded by the Department of Veteran Affairs. So I have a day job. I just volunteer on the side because I believe in this. And I know this is my divine assignment. And maybe if cancer hadn't taken the people that I knew as parents, I would have been able to just grieve and move on. But this is my therapy. And I know most of our volunteer base have lost loved ones to cancer, and they volunteer with me in honor of their loved ones who they lost to cancer as well. And this is a labor of love because we have to be the answer we're waiting for. We can't wait for somebody else to do this. So I really appreciate you having me on, Ebro. It's a pleasure and an honor to share this platform. Thank you so much for this opportunity and your support and the introductions. I will continue to comment and like your post on social media too.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Doc. Appreciate you, Doc.
And tell Issa I said hi.
For sure. I will. Dr. Hadiyah Green, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Doc.
Y'all follow her on what's the Instagram again?
At Dr. Hadiyah Green and at auralee.org.
There it is. Pleasure talking to you today. Great to meet you.
Thanks, Doctor.
Oh, and one more thing. Can I tell you one more thing?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I meant to tell you. So we're also on Amazon Smile. So if you're shopping from home because of quarantine. So Amazon has a charitable partner called Amazon Smile that you can log into with your same Amazon login and password, and you shop. Amazon donates without charging you extra. All of your card, your history, everything is mirrored to Amazon. It's just on Amazon Smile, and you can select a charity to support, and you can select the Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation as your charity.
That's lit.
And
nice.
Yes, Amazon will send us a check monthly or quarterly, depending on how many donations we get. And it's a small percentage of every donation. And also on Facebook and Instagram, when you go live, you can select the Aura Lee Foundation as the beneficiary to do a fundraiser for us on Instagram and Facebook. So I just wanted to put that out there if anybody's going live and wants to donate to it. Yes.
I'm on here at Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation. I just went to smile.amazon.com. I logged in. Boom. Click select. Yes, I understand. Boom. Bap. Bow.
Boom. Bap.
Done.
Thank you.
Amazon Smile.
Didn't even know about that until right now.
Yeah. So every time you log into Amazon Smile to shop, it will automatically whatever purchases that are eligible.
So I gotta log into Amazon Smile every time, or if I use my regular Amazon, it'll still link up, or I gotta go through Smile.
So if you're on the desktop, there's an icon that you can click on at the top of the screen from regular Amazon. Otherwise, you have to log in through Amazon Smile, and I save the icon on my phone because I usually shop on my phone. So you can save it on your phone. It's not an app, but you can save the icon so you can just one tap.
So it's right there. Okay, boom. All right, I got it. I'm about to buy me some vegan Ben and Jerry's real quick for delivery for this weekend when I body this pint of ice cream. You know what I mean?
That sounds wonderful.
Dr. Hadiyah Green, it was great to meet you.
Thanks, Doctor.
Great to meet you, too.
Talk to you soon.
All. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care.